What's up, fishing family? Hey, if you have to have 5 lures in your backpack, no matter what time of the year it is, what do you have in your backpack? Well, today I'm going to tell you what I keep in my backpack that is always my go-to lures that let me see if the bites are being finicky or the bites are being aggressive. We're going to discuss it in today's video. All right, let's get to it. All right, so when it comes to creek fishing, we've probably got 2 different camps. Maybe if you're new to creek fishing, so you're gonna have one camp that's gonna have a backpack. It's probably gonna be about 50 pounds. It's gonna have every potential option from freshwater to saltwater. They're gonna have everything they've ever bought in that one backpack. And then you're gonna have the other camp that's gonna carry around probably a little small Plano container, and that's about it. So for me, there's really 5 main items that I need, and I categorize them into 2 camps. It's going to be a non-reactive bite and a reactive bite, and that's going to be, what I mean by that is your reaction bites are going to be things like Whopper Ploppers, buzzbaits, spinnerbaits, something that makes that vibration in the water, and it's going to elicit that reaction bite out of bass, and we need those sometimes. Other times, I want the non-reactive baits, stuff like finesse. My soft plastics are going to fall all in this category. With an exception too, there are kind of reactive bites when it comes to soft plastic, and what I mean by that is your paddle tails, something that I can kind of burn through the surface like a scared or injured fish. Those would kind of be reactive, but so I have kind of 2 camps when it comes to soft plastic. As long as I've got a couple different color selections available to me for clear water, overcast, or kind of stained water, and I've got those other 5 baits covered, we're good to go. For me, I'm going to go out. I always want to have these 5 items in my backpack. And I will say, the first 5 fish that I catch are crucial for me to really pay close attention to how aggressive was the bite. Was it aggressive or was it not aggressive? Were the fish setting in current? Were they outside of current? Were they under rock? Were they in the shade? Those bites are going to clue me in on the fish's behavior for that given day, so I will know how I need to fish. So I will always start out personally fishing finesse in a creek. I want to see, are those fish biting? Am I getting bites? If I do, then I stick with it. I don't change. I'll fish that until maybe something changes in the day. Sometimes you'll cast out, you'll see the fish, they'll come up, they'll observe it, and then you'll stop the bait thinking like, oh, bite, bite, bite. And then the fish sits there and looks and he starts to swim off. And then you move it again, and then the fish turns around, he looks, and then you move it, and then he comes back up. Well, it's that motion that's eliciting that reaction out of that bass. So sometimes at that point, I'll go ahead and start burning that lure away from that bass, watch his reaction to see, does he go ahead and chase it and bite it? If he does, then I'll know that I can actually switch up and go to something a little more reactive. I can maybe fish the paddle tails. I might be able to fish a buzzbait. I might be able to fish maybe even a spinnerbait. Sometimes spinnerbaits will work good in those scenarios too, because I can work it slow on the bottom, but I've got that vibration. You can pause, let it sit there, and then I can also go ahead and move it. So having these 5 items in my backpack gives me the option to fish whatever conditions I'm going to be dealing with that day, whatever the fish's behavior is. So paying really close attention to those first few fish that I catch, 3 to 5, I want to see how they reacted. Pay attention really close to it, and then it'll clue me in on how I need to fish the rest of the day, or until something changes in the fish's behavior for the rest of the day. All right, another must-have for me will be the mini buzzbait. These are a great lure to have in your backpack. Now, crazy fact is, for years, I would never fish the buzzbait. I remember finding the first buzzbait ever at the lake. It was on a log. I was out kayaking, and I saw it, and I was like, who in the world would ever use this? Why would you catch fish on this clanky thing that makes all this noise? This doesn't look anything like bait fish that they would actually be chasing. But rewind back about 3 years ago, I was fishing in a tournament. It was a top water contest, and the buzzbait was one of the lures that you could use. So during that tournament, I was doing no good. I could not get any bites on Whopper Ploppers, any type of top water. So I thought, well, what have I got to lose at this point? I'm catching no fish. So I tied up the Strike King mini buzzbait, and to my surprise, first cast, got a bite. Missed it because I just had no faith in this. I didn't even think it was going to work. And I was like, whoa, 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 let me pay attention here. Cast back out. I proceeded to catch 3 fish in a pocket that I had just been fishing for about 10 minutes with a Whopper Plopper with no success whatsoever. Threw this thing on, pulled 3 fish out of there. I continued to fish this thing. This thing wore it out the rest of the day. I actually had a smallmouth tear it up. It actually pulled the hook and the back portion of this off, and that was the only one I had that day. I had to switch back to a Whopper Plopper, and the rest of the day almost just radio silence. Didn't catch anything. So I learned my lesson. So the buzzbait is a great option to keep in your backpack when it comes to creek fishing. This is a reaction lure. So in days where, like now today, I don't think this is going to work because I've already noticed early on the fish are not being really aggressive. The bites are really subtle. I had to really slow down my hook set when I was fishing soft plastic because I was missing fish. I also had to downsize the size of my soft plastic to try to increase my hookup ratio. Once I did that, I started improving the number of fish that I was catching. But in scenarios where you get out, these fish are really aggressive. Let's just say maybe the Whopper Plopper is not working really good. This would be a step down for the Whopper Plopper because you can actually fish this on the surface of the water. You can also fish it below the surface of the water, almost like an inline spinner. I will vary my retrieve between a real fast retrieve and a retrieve where I'm dropping it below the surface, working it underwater, and then pulling it back up. And sometimes you'll see, like, you can see how aggressive those bites are, especially if I'm missing bites on the Whopper Plopper. I will definitely go to a buzzbait, work it a little bit slower, and then see if I can tell the difference. And a lot of times I can. I love the buzzbait as well, just because this static hook on the back, I generally get better hookup ratios on this than I do Whopper Ploppers, where those treble hooks, or if you've got a single hook like I generally put on mine, are just swiveling around on those split rings. This static hook on the back, I just seem to get a better hookup ratio on this. So buzzbait is a must-have in my backpack when it comes to creek fishing, pretty much all summer long. Missed one. I set the hook too soon. I think I need to put a longer. He felt the hook, so he won't give me another try, I'm pretty certain. There we go, something picked it up. There we go. Pretty decent fish. Let me pull him out of the pocket. All right, come here, buddy. He just kind of picked it up and started swimming off with it. All right, come here, buddy. Come here, buddy. All righty. Let's see. Got a mess here. My bait went directly through my net. I'm trying to get it out of my net. There we go. There we go. All right. All right. All right, let's hurry up. All right. One quick picture, buddy. All right, there's our first decent one. All right, his tail's fanned out. All right, let's get him back in the water. There you go, buddy. Get on back over there, swim off. All right, so he got himself unhooked before I could get a picture, but I got him on this white and clear swallowtail by Ned Wacky. So, all right, that looks good. Mimicking a little bait fish. That's one of my go-to items around this post-spawn phase. They're gonna be feeding up on these small bait fish. So I wanna use this. I always wanna make sure I have one of these available in my backpack at all times. All right, let's get to walking. Good start. All right, so I'm gonna show you a couple clips so you can see my thought process as I'm fishing the creek. So early in the day, I started out with finesse. I was on a 3.5 swallowtail minnow. I was kind of working it slow based on what the fish reaction was. And then I just missed bite after bite after bite. So what I had kind of figured out, and I didn't know at the time, was that this creek was a colder creek. So the spawn was a little behind some of the other creeks that I had been fishing. So I was thinking these fish were going to be completely done, but you'll see later in the video, I come across a couple beds with active smallies setting around them, and then some other beds that had already been vacated. So it let me know that those fish were kind of still a couple weeks behind some of the creeks I had been fishing. But I got those couple bites and tried to set the hook kind of quick based on some of the other creeks I had been fishing. So then I started paying attention real quick, like, hey, these fish aren't being super aggressive. They're kind of picking it up, and I'm missing that hook set. So what I did was, to counter that, I wanted to continue to fish finesse, but I downsized to a Helggermite. I wanted a smaller, thinner presentation, something that I could potentially get a quicker hook set on, because if those fish picked up the tail, more likely on that shorter bait, they were still catching the terminal end of my hook, and I was going to be able to set that hook. I also had to slow down my hook set. That's one thing you'll have to kind of pay attention to based on the fish's aggression. I could tell the fish were not being aggressive whatsoever. They were kind of picking it up, and they would swim off a little bit with it. I'd go to set the hook and then still pull that bait out of their mouth. I was like, okay, I've got to give them a couple more seconds. So I'm always walking that fine line between missing my hook sets and then letting the fish have the bait too long to where they get it too far down in their mouth. So I had to start out kind of with a fast hook set and then kind of scale back as I saw, like, hey, the fish aren't being aggressive today, so I'm going to slow down my hook set to about 2 to 3 seconds. This is where having that high vis line helps a lot too, because I could see the fish pop it, and then I could see my line start to track down the creek, and I would know, hey, they've got it. I would get myself in stance watching them, and then I would go to set the hook. And when I scaled down to the Helga Monster, I started seeing that, hey, I'm not missing as many hook sets. My hook ratio went up from there. So that was kind of, once again, clues that the creek's kind of giving me, and I want to have those options in my backpack. I want to have finesse baits. I want to have Cinco worms that I can throw out their wacky rig. But if I'm missing hook sets there, I also want that smaller 1.5 swim bait, or those 3-inch Hellgrammites, things like that, that I feel like I'm going to get a better hookup on, because it being a smaller bait, those fish pick it up, more than likely they've got my hook in their mouth, and I can go ahead and set that hook. I can't tell if I'm looking at a bed. I almost think I'm looking at a bed down here. I'm not gonna, if it's a bedding fish, I'm not messing with it, but I do want to see if it's a bed, because that tells me this creek's running further behind the other streams. Yeah, I think that is a bed right there. That looks like a bed. And I swear I see a smallie down there somewhere, right on the outsides of it. All right, let's just leave him alone. I just had one. I let him off. I didn't set the hook real hard. I was trying to kind of get my camera on. But there's one sitting out here, so I say, he felt my hook, so he will not give me another try. I guarantee you, but there might be another one out there with him. There's a little one right there. Come here, buddy. Come here, little buddy. Hold on, bud. All right, these little guys are getting themselves unhooked. All right. Get him, buddy. He was actually chasing it. So these guys are sitting around current, so that's the little guys. There we go. Oh, I lost him. I lost him. That felt like a good fish. I set the hook too fast. I see him right there too. That was a good fish. Dang. All right, I gotta slow my hook sets down. Slow my hook set down. Oh, Trey, what are you doing? I have lost 3 back to back. All right, another really go-to bait for me is going to be the Helggermite. This is actually the Helga Monster by Ned Wacky. So I'm going to rig this up real quick. This is in the Vado color. It's just a real natural color. I'm missing several bites for some reason on the swallowtail. I don't know why. So that's what we're going to rig up right now. I'm going to try that. Let's see. See if I get a better hookup ratio on this. So there's one. Just hooked into him. Come here, buddy. All right. He's got it all in his mouth. Hold on, buddy. All right, so there we go. We got him on the Helga Monster. There we go. All right. Hang on, buddy. I got my line lassoed around you. Get on out of your way. All right, there we go. If I'm missing hook sets with other baits, I'll try the Helga Monster. It's such a slender profile. I generally don't have as many problems with hook sets. We'll see. Well, that's number 4. I'm telling you, these guys are out in full force today. Man, this creek is full of them. He dove under. I've never seen cottonmouths dive like that. Now, of course, I was probably agitating him for sure with him opening his mouth and gaping like that. He's definitely saying like, hey, you're bugging me, you're threatening me. Well, that's the 4th cottonmouth a day. Man, I'm telling you, they are out in full force now. Cottonmouth Central. Keep your eyes peeled, guys. Every step that I take, I'm always watching where I step. Wow. So we got one on the Helga Monster. Now this is one of my absolute go-to. If you were to tell me I could only fish one bait for 12 solid months, it would be the Helga Monster. I can fish it in winter, I can fish it in summer, I can swim it, I can finesse it. It's a great all-around bait. It's a small profile, so that really makes it great too when those fish are kind of finicky and not looking for a really big meal, but at the same time, I can get them when they're hungry to feed on these small baits as well. So the size of the bait really never hinders the size of smallies that I catch in the creeks. So all right, let's push on up here and see if we can find another pocket. All right, let's see. There's a spot up here that had a really good pool. I hope it's not filled in, because it has held some big fish in the past. I always have trouble getting them to bite. So I don't know if this area gets a lot of pressure or something, but it's always hard to get them to bite. And yeah, it does look like a lot of gravel is filled in up there. Dang it. Got him, got him. Got a good one. Come here, buddy. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. I got him. He was in that little bitty channel sitting right under a big rock. All right, we got him on the Helga Monster in the Vado color. All right, everybody. Very nice. About 16. Yeah. All right, let me put this guy back in the water for a second. All right, I'm gonna let this guy revive for 1 second. He didn't fight really, really hard. He's starting to fight a little more now, but all right, let's get one more picture. All right, there we go. Very nice. Yes, sir. There you go, buddy. Right up under that rock right there. All right, another must-have for me during the summer months will be a fluke style bait or either this swallowtail. I want something that I can drift in current. If those fish are not being super aggressive, I really like that fluke presentation or this swallowtail. I can cast it up in that current, just let it drift down, work it slow, kind of pop it off the bottom sometimes, and that will work for me. So I'm gonna try this one out right now. The fish are definitely being slow today, so I'm going to switch over to my Ned Wacky swallowtail. This is a team color that we're all trying out right now. We're gonna see how this works. I like this color. That'd be a good night color, but we're gonna check it out. All right, let's get out here and see what we can do. There we go. Oh yeah, got one, got him. Current, but come here. Let's not bash in the rocks. All right. Get him in the water real quick. He fought good. All right, we got him on that's on our new team color right there. I don't think we have a name for it, but whew, this guy's been caught before. Hang on, buddy. Let me put you back in the water. Thank you. All right, so got him on the Ned Wacky swallowtail. This is an exclusive color that Marcus made up for the team. We're testing this out. If there's an appetite and people like this color, it may go into production, but right now we're just testing it out. No promises, but I do like this color. This would also be a really good night color. Ah, man, I like it. So I want to hear from you guys. Do you keep swallowtails or fluke style baits in your backpack during the summer months to use, and why do you use them? For me, I always want to use them in a finesse scenario where the fish are being kind of finicky. I also want to keep a paddle tail with me as well in case those fish are being aggressive and they're wanting more of a reaction to get them fired up. Sometimes you'll see that. So earlier I mentioned both soft plastics having a kind of non-reactive and a reactive soft plastic. Reactive, I would categorize as paddle tails. This is something that I can work fast through the water if I see those fish are being aggressive. So I'm going to rig this one up real quick. I'm going to see how these fish are reacting in this section, if they're a little more aggressive than they were down in that clearer section, and see if this gets us a bite. But this is something I always want to have. The fluke style, I always kind of want to work on those days that they're kind of being finicky. I can kind of drift those through current, but if I see those fish are being super aggressive, I can throw on a paddle tail and burn that on the surface or work a little faster. I can mix up my cadence on my retrieve, but this is what I would kind of consider more of a reactive bait when it comes to soft plastics. All right, let me go cast up, and I'm gonna draw on the inside of this current. All right, I had to backtrack down the creek and find my net. When I tied up my paddle tail, I set my net down, and I just didn't even think to pick it up. It didn't dawn on me until I was just trying to land that fish. And I feel like if I had my net, I possibly would have landed that fish. I was like, I hesitated. I'm like, wait a minute, I don't have my net. Well, at least I backtracked and knew where I set it. So, let's get back to fishing. Man. There's a bite right there. Got it. I do have it. All right, we do have one on the paddle tail. I didn't know if I was gonna get one. Oh crap. I left my dang net. I gotta go back and get my net. Totally left my net. Oh, right there. And that cost me. Not having my net. That just cost me that fish. Oh, man. Alright, I'm about to go back and get my net. I totally messed up and left it. That cost me that fish right there. Man, I am losing so many fish today. I cannot believe I forgot that. I want to run, get it real quick. Where did I leave it? Damn it, I swear. All right, so we've caught fish on finesse. I hooked one fish on paddle tail. Didn't manage to land the fish because I had left my net behind, but we're not going to harbor on that subject. I've tried the buzzbait, no bites on that. Now we're talking spinnerbaits. Of the 5 items I always want in my backpack, it's spinnerbait. I always want one in a natural color kind of crawl, and then I want a firebug for stained water conditions. If those fish are being finicky and I know that they're setting on the bottom, they definitely are not hitting top water, I'm going to grab the spinnerbait. I'm going to use this because it's going to throw off vibration. I can work it really slow along the bottom of the creek, and sometimes you can get a reaction out of these. These work really good, but once again, they've got their specific time and place, but I'm always going to keep these in my backpack. So let's get the old firebug tied up and let's see if we can get a bite on this today. Let's throw this spinnerbait over there. I'm going to try in this pocket one more time before I leave. I'm going to slow roll it on the bottom, get that thing down. You want to retrieve it just quick enough to keep it off the floor. That's the main thing you're trying to do, is pull those fish that are tied to the bottom. Hey, mama cow, what you do, mama? You eating some grass, mama cow? You better tighten up, Derek. That grass ain't mowing itself. All right, today is seeming like a finesse day only, it seems like. Oh, there we go. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. I just got one out there in the current. Holy cow. Now, at first it felt big. I don't know if it is or not. Stay down. Stay down. I ain't seen fish yet. Well, he ain't bad at all. Come here, bro. Come here. All right. Well, as soon as I thought all hope was lost, we did get one on her spinnerbait right there. All right, hang on, let me get that off your spiny dorsal so I don't mess your dorsal up. Okay, he was fighting good. All right, let me get him back in the water. Get him unhooked. Hang your back. Ooh, he was just, I mean, really, he wasn't even hooked. He just literally was not even hooked. So, all right, now that guy was sitting over there in the current, so. Alright, I'm gonna make sure this guy's good and revived. Alright, hold on. Alright, buddy. Good job. Thank you, buddy. Alright, one more. Let's get him on his way. Last but not least, probably the most favorite will be your Whopper Ploppers. So I fished the smaller versions. This is a 60 Whopper Plopper. I don't use these much now because once I got turned on to 12 Oaks, they've got flat-sided versions of these and they work so good. So with the Whopper Plopper River to Sea, these are a little more rounded. A lot of times these have the tendency to spin my line up a lot more. I do like them, but the line spin is a frustration. Once I started fishing 12 Oaks version of these in the flat-sided options, I found that these baits tend to track more through the water versus wanting to spin. Therefore, that reduces that spin on my line. But Whopper Ploppers, I'm always going to keep these in my backpack, especially during summer months. These are going to be really fun. After that, post-spawn has finished up, those fish finally have recovered, they're really going to start activating, and that's when that topwater bite's going to kick on. But hey, I've had days where I go out, can't get anything to work, I throw the old trusty Whopper Plopper on, and man, the bites turn on. So we're going to always have these in my backpack at all times. Hey, check it out. Look right here. Oh, hey, well, there's another one. There's two pieces right there side by side. This is pottery. I'm gonna say this is Indian pottery. Let me see what is. Hey, that's the top of a bowl right there. That's the rim they would have put on top of it. Check that out. Just to think that some Native American was forming that with his hands. Who knows how long ago. Very cool. Right here, just two pieces side by side. Wow. All right, fishing family, it's time to get back to the vehicle. Hey, thank you guys for tuning in. Hey, remember, keep those flukes and paddle tails in your backpack at all times. You never know when you're going to need them. So, hey, thank you guys for coming along on the journey. I appreciate you. Have a good one. Hey, until next time, grab your poles, call your buddies, get there, make some memories. Give us some elbow. Boo! I love you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you on the next video.
Like a bonfire on a cold night. Hell, you can keep your 9 to 5, 'cause I'm happy with the simple life.